Well, we still have some people coming into the webinar, but I think we'll get underway. Open with a welcome to folks who are on the line. I'm Ellen Sinclair. I'm the Executive Director of the Rural Ontario Institute. And I want to welcome everyone here today to Making Rural Data Accessible. I'm joined today by my colleagues at ROI, our Senior Data Analyst, Danielle Letang, who will be demonstrating ROI's data product, and Mel Baduc, who is ROI's Communications Manager, and she's looking after our tech this morning. And we're very pleased today to be collaborating with the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, OMAFRA, to present this information to you. We're grateful to OMAFRA for their support and their expertise in the data and information space, particularly as it pertains to rural issues and concerns. But I'd like to open today's session with a traditional territory acknowledgement. The Rural Ontario Institute would like to acknowledge that our office in Guelph, Ontario, is located on land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples from the beginning. As settlers, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet and work here, and we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Long before today, there have been First Peoples who have been the stewards of this place. In particular, we acknowledge the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee people, the Six Nations, including the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, and Tuscarora, and the Attawandaron peoples, Neutral Nation, and the territories represented in the Upper Canada and Haldimand treaties. We recognize and deeply appreciate their historic connection to this place. We also recognize the contributions that Métis, Inuit, and other Indigenous peoples have made, both in shaping and strengthening this community in particular, and our province and our country as a whole. As settlers, this recognition of the contributions and historic importance of Indigenous peoples must also be clearly and overtly connected to our collective commitment to make the promise and the challenge of truth and reconciliation real in our communities, and in particular, to bring justice for murdered and missing Indigenous women and children across our country. Thank you. And once again, welcome. We would like to know where you are coming from, and we have a quick poll for you to complete, and I'll ask Mel to set that up now. Thank you.
So that poll has been launched. You should be able to see that on your screen.
Thanks, Mel. Today's webinar is scheduled for about 90 minutes. You'll hear from both OMAFRA's data team and ROI, and each will walk you through the tools that are available to you as you gather the data and the evidence that you need to make planning decisions for your communities and your organizations. As the presentations are rolling, we're asking that you put your questions in the chat, and we will be conducting a Q&A following the presentation. At this time, I'd like to turn the mic over to Scott Duff, Director of Economic Development and Policy at OMAFRA. Welcome, Scott.
Nice. Thank you, Ellen, and welcome to everybody on the call. Looks like we got a great turnout today, and as representing OMAFRA, we're really pleased to join with ROI in being able to share this data and this information and talk about implications that it has for rural Ontario going forward. You know, I'm always reminded that the power of data is really about sharing the data. It used to be a long time ago where people felt the power of data was to be able to hang on to it and be our brokers or data brokers and be able to share the data. And those times, thankfully, are the long past. And we see the value of data and being able to share it, have people use it, talk about it, and be able to employ it in their working day to day. I think as you'll see throughout the presentations today, there's a bit of a renaissance or some reversal in trends going on in rural Ontario, particularly on population and economic developments. And this has many implications that we can explore, both for rural capacity, rural attraction, labor, housing, you name it, environment. It's all there. So really looking forward to the conversation today, and I apologize I can't stay for the whole day. I should be able to stay for about half of the morning. I do have another commitment today, but hopefully you'll find today's sharing useful and encourage great dialogue as we go over. So I'd now like to turn it over to Danielle Letang to talk about ROI information.
Thanks so much, Scott. Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle Letang, and I'm a Senior Data Analyst here at the Rural Ontario Institute. And I'm going to start my presentation today by providing a few context-setting slides, and then I'll show you how to find rural data resources on our website, and I'll provide a demonstration of our Rural Ontario Facts dashboards. So ROI is a charitable organization, for anyone who isn't already aware. Our mission is to build vision, voice, and leadership. And we do this by offering leadership programs, by providing leaders with data and analysis for decision making, and by connecting leaders to create communities of practice. So here's a quick listing of our current and past knowledge products. We currently have 4 projects underway right now, and I am leading the Facts, Wellbeing, and Eco-Footprint projects. Our colleague Kezia is the manager for the Housing project. But ROI also has a long history of producing helpful knowledge resources. In particular, the Focus on Rural Ontario fact sheets were produced from 2013 to 2022 by Ray Bowman. We're very grateful to the work that Ray did for us. And all of our products can be accessed from our website, either from our Knowledge Center or from other parts of our site. And I'll show you that in a minute. So as I'm sure many of you here are aware, a lot of rural communities struggle to access local data. A lot of data sources tend to provide data at a regional scale, which may not be helpful for local decision making. And another issue is the lack of data analysis capacity in many rural communities to access and interpret the local data that might actually be available. So what we've done is we've created a product that will help rural communities make it easier to access data and gain a better understanding of local issues and opportunities. So Rural Ontario Facts is a topical pairing of dashboards and fact sheets. The dashboards provide statistics, maps, and data visualizations for all census subdivisions in Ontario. And the fact sheets present a summary and analysis of higher level rural and urban trends. Okay, what we hope that these dashboards and fact sheets are used for is that rural communities will find them helpful in making sense of data, that it might help them make informed decisions, and that it might also help them to tell compelling stories about what's currently going on in their communities. And now I'll start the demonstration portion of today's session. So this is our ROI homepage. As I mentioned before, our knowledge products can be found primarily in the Knowledge Center, with the exception of the Housing project, which is located under the Programs page. So you can access the Knowledge Center and Programs pages from the top menu of our homepage, or you can scroll down to the shortcuts below. Once you're in the Knowledge Center, you can navigate to the pages that you're interested in, either from the menu here on the left, or also from the tiles here as well. So today we'll be exploring Rural Ontario Facts. So this is the website that we've created to present links for our dashboards and our fact sheets in this series. At the very top here is a little blurb about rural data. And we've also created a short tutorial video that explains how to navigate the dashboards. The dashboards and fact sheets are organized here in this accordion menu, which you can expand to find links for the dashboards and the fact sheets. And if you scroll down a little further, we have a little button here to provide feedback. And there's also a link here to OMAFRA's new rural statistics webpage. So as I mentioned, to access the dashboards and fact sheets, just expand on the accordion menus. When you click on a dashboard link, it will open it up in Tableau Public, which is where all of our dashboards are hosted. And it will take a minute to load. That is perfectly normal. When you click on a fact sheet, it will open the document in a PDF format that you're able to download onto your computer. It's important to note that all of the dashboards have a common look and feel. And so when you land on the dashboard, you'll always be on the About tab. This tab contains helpful information along with links to data sources. And there's also some Contact Us buttons here at the bottom. The icons in the sidebar menu will either take you back to our website to access the fact sheet links, or they'll take you through to the other dashboards in the series. Each of the dashboards also has an overview tab that provides a summary of information based on the different data points that are featured in the dashboard for rural and urban areas. So at the top of the overview tab, there's usually a summary table. And then there's also a map of our rural classification approach and definitions for that as well. And finally, at the bottom, there is a summary table that provides information for all of the data points above for each census subdivision in Ontario. And this table can be filtered, the map can be filtered, and the summary table can all be filtered using the dashboard filters and elements. And now we will actually explore some of those interactive features by looking at the immigration tab of our demographics dashboard. This is one of the newest tabs that we've added to this dashboard. So since these dashboards contain so much information, we offer a few different ways to focus and filter the information. The first option, of course, is to use the dashboard filters. So we have all these drop-down menus here at the top. So you can choose to view data for individual communities. You can look at the urban and rural groups of communities. You can look at groups of communities also within census metropolitan areas, census divisions, and economic regions. You can also filter the dashboard though using interactive elements. You can click on the map, or you can interact with other elements as well. There are instructions with every element to let you know whether or not it's interactive. Okay, so let's look at a community. I always choose Sault Ste. Marie when I'm doing a demonstration because that is actually where I'm from. So once you make a selection, what you'll notice is that it filters the map automatically, or it zooms the map in to the location that you've selected. And all of the interactive elements are now showing data only for Sault Ste. Marie. To clear a selection from a drop-down menu, you have a few different options. You can either select the All category. You can choose this really tiny clear filter button that's beside every title for the filters, or you can choose this bigger clear button that we've added here. They all work. But let's say you wanted to know how Sault Ste. Marie was doing in comparison to its neighboring communities. What you could do is choose a region. So if we choose the Algoma Census Division, it will give us information for all of the communities that are within this region. So it zooms the map in, but we can still see the individual community boundaries. It's important to note that when you choose a region, most of the visuals are showing the regional totals. but the summary table at the bottom still has information for each of the individual communities that are within that region. You can also filter further once you've chosen a region if you only wanted to look at information for one of these communities. You can click on the map, and now it's filtering here for Elliott Lake. To clear that, just click on it again, and it reverts back to your original selection. You may have noticed by now that there's this circle chart below the map. This chart shows the range of data across the communities that have been selected. This helps us understand which communities are on the lower end of a data range and which communities are on the higher end of a data range, and whether or not a community's values are above or below the provincial average. So what we're seeing here is the range in data for communities within the Algoma Census Division, and we can see which one is on the lowest end, which one is on the higher end, and we can very clearly see that all of these communities are below the provincial average of 30%. What you can also do with the circle chart is you can choose the rural classification or the urban classification to see the range in those communities. So if we choose the rural classification, it will filter now. So these are all of the rural communities in Ontario, and we can very clearly see the data range across these communities. As I've mentioned, the maps are interactive and zoomable. You can zoom in and out using your mouse or using the plus or minus button here. To reset the map, just click the home button. You may want to click on the map to filter, and it's easy to clear that selection by clicking on it again. But sometimes if you've chosen a small area, it might be too hard for you to click on it again. So you can just click the clear all filters button here at the top, and it will reset the dashboard, but for some reason it will still maintain the highlight of your original selection. And I'm not sure why. It seems like that's a quirky Tableau thing. It doesn't affect any of the filtering choices, but if it bothers you, you can get rid of it just by clicking 2 times on the element that you originally made your selection in, and it will go away. At this time, we don't allow downloads of data directly from the dashboards. However, you can download an image or PDF of the dashboard view by clicking on the download buttons, either at the bottom or top of the dashboard. If you wanted to download a PDF of this current view, it's very easy to do that. It just takes a moment. Eventually. Oh, and usually it shows up here. There we go. It's a little bit of a lag. I just wanted to show you what it will look like. And as I mentioned, we don't allow downloads of data right now. However, if there was data that you were interested in seeing, we would be happy to provide that for you. Hopefully my internet connection doesn't drop off. So this is what it would look like if you downloaded a PDF of the current view of the dashboard. Okay, and now I would like to show you one of the newer tabs on our economics dashboard. But just quickly, if you were to explore our profile on Tableau Public, you can see here we do have all of the links to all of our other dashboards as well, which makes it easy to navigate. So we've recently updated the Jobs by Industry tab on our economics dashboard to include 2022 data for jobs and wages. We also added data for self-employment jobs between 2018 and 2022. We obtained this data set from OMAFRA's analyst tool. But I wanted to show you this tab because it's a little bit different from some of the other ones. Unlike the other dashboard tabs, this one doesn't have a map. So instead of the map, it's showing this line chart that shows the number of jobs by industry over time. You can choose, again, to view this data by individual communities or by groupings of communities in these different categories. So for example, again, if we choose Sault Ste. Marie, we'll be able to see the trends in industry jobs in Sault Ste. Marie. And again, some of these elements are interactive. So if you're interested in seeing data specifically for one industry, you can click in this here, or you can choose an industry name from the drop-down menu over here. You can also look at trends for a region. So again, if we choose the Algoma Census Division, it will show us what's happening at a regional level, but we still get the detail for individual communities in the summary table at the bottom. And I should also mention that you're able to sort the summary tables just by clicking on the little sort button at the top. So now this table is sorted according to which communities have the highest number of jobs. And now the circle chart is showing us the average wage. It shows us which communities are on the lower end of average wage and which ones are on the higher end. You can also choose individual industries to look at, and you can further look at whether people are employed or whether they are self-employed. Just note that if you choose self-employment as a filter, all of the wage visualizations will appear blank, and that is because wage data is currently unavailable for self-employment jobs. So anytime data is missing from the dashboard, the associated elements will appear blank. An interesting feature of this dashboard is that if you choose specific industries, such as agriculture, forestry, fishing, and hunting, the circle chart shows actually the average wage for that industry across all of the different communities. So you get a really nice snapshot of what's happening for that industry. And now I just wanted to mention a few data limitations for issues. Some of our newest dashboards have this new information icon, and this is useful for providing definitions and data sources, and also notes on data issues. We've recently started adding a note to our newer data products to clarify our method for data aggregation. As I've previously mentioned, most of the dashboard data is sourced from the census, but we are presenting data at the census subdivision level. So when you select a region, like I've done here in selecting the Algoma Census Division, it's showing you the totals that are calculated from all of the census subdivisions that are within this region. But sometimes data is missing for some census subdivisions. And sometimes data is missing because StatsCan hasn't sampled them, because of data suppression, or for other reasons as well. But data suppression is not usually an issue for regions. So our numbers may differ slightly from regional numbers that are obtained directly from StatsCan, because their regional numbers will include any data that may be suppressed at a smaller scale. Another thing to note is that right now we're currently only showing census data for the most recent census. So that's the 2021 census. We may consider adding historical census data at some point, but that is a very time-consuming endeavor, and we're not sure if we want to get into that. I think Julio or John will actually be addressing that in their presentation, so I won't go into it right now. On another note, we make every effort to make sure that the data that we present is reliable and accurate. We do checks for quality assurance, but we do have limited capacity. You know, we are a small organization, and it's often just me working on these dashboards. So please, if you notice any issues, get in touch with me and let me know so that I can fix those issues as soon as possible. We also welcome any and all feedback. We want to make sure our products are helpful for you. So please get in touch. So thank you very much for your interest in ROI's rural data resources. You can subscribe to our newsletter for updates about new products as they are released. Happy to answer any questions you might have during the Q&A session. But if we run out of time or if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. And now I'll turn it over to John to start off OMAFRA's presentation.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. And that's some fantastic work that ROI has done there, and that's going to be very useful. Okay, so on our part here at the ministry, just by way of context, when the pandemic broke, we did a lot of analysis for the agricultural sector, obviously, but we also did a lot of work on rural communities. And what we noticed is that there were quite a bit of changes occurring in rural communities before the pandemic, and it accelerated during the pandemic. And we found that there was a need to quantify some of these changes, and we started gathering a lot of data at that point. We didn't have a central repository for the data, and we started building it. And the upshot of all of this is that we created this, what we call a rural data hub, which is a landing page on ontario.ca for all of this data. So really the catalyst for all of this is that we needed to do a lot of analysis here at the ministry on rural communities, what was happening in these rural communities from a socioeconomic point of view. And we started collecting all of that data. So the data that we're going to be presenting here today was really data that we used in our own analysis here at the ministry. I should also add here that we have a short presentation that we prepared with some of this context, and Katie Dunn, who's on the call here with us today, is going to make that presentation, I think, hopefully available to everybody on the call here this morning. And what we're going to do here is we have two of our key people here, William Mendoza, who's going to go over the rural landing page, and we have Siva Melvaganan, who's going to go over the landing page for agricultural data, because as you know, the ag sector is very important for rural communities. Now, the landing page that Julio is going to show you contains three main aspects to it. One of them is it has something that we call a key rural facts document. This document has been circulated here internally at OMAFRA for many, many years. We are making it available to the public for the first time through our Ontario.ca landing page. This document itself contains many of the definitions that are important for rural Ontario. It contains some basic analysis as well to try to understand the data, because as you know, rural data is complex. There are a lot of nuances, and especially when it comes to population data. And this key rural facts document explains all of this, so it makes it easier for users to understand the data. So that's one key aspect of our landing page. It has a link to that key rural facts document, which will be updated on a regular annual basis. Another key aspect of the landing page is we have links there to Power BI dashboards. So Power BI dashboards are interactive dashboards that users can hit first. And these Power BI dashboards are interactive in that you can adjust the sample periods in there, and everything in the dashboards will adjust automatically. It will help you understand the data a little bit better before you get to the Excel spreadsheets to bring down the data. And finally, we have direct links in the landing page to Excel spreadsheets. And Julio will walk through all of this for you right now. And there's a great deal of data involved in available on the Ontario.ca pages here. So we're not going to go over every single bit of data. So Julio's going to just use a few examples for you. And finally, I just want to make mention of one thing here, is that rural data in general is difficult to compile. It's not easily available like per se Canada-wide data or Ontario-wide data. And it took the team a lot of time here to get to where we are today. And, going back, one of the key, innovative aspects of this data set is that it goes very far back in time to provide historical perspective. And we had to go back into old census data that is only available in hard copy now and make adjustments to that data for the adjustment in boundaries over time. So it was painstaking work that took a long time. And as far as we know, data going way back in time on rural Ontario is only available through this resource that we have now. We haven't found it anywhere else. And one of the things that we've done as well with the data set to make it useful for users is that for every indicator that we have in there for rural Ontario, we also provide the same indicator for urban Ontario so that you can understand the differences between urban and rural. So anyways, with that said, let me turn it over now to Julio Mendoza. He'll go over the landing page with you and also show you some of these Power BI dashboards. And then we'll turn over to Siva to do the same for the Ontario.ca landing page for the agricultural sector.
Okay, thank you, John. Can you see the Ontario socioeconomic data and information page?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. That's so. As John already mentioned, this is the main landing page where Data Hub, as we call it, the nickname, and it will be in Ontario.ca under the rural and north section. It is already, and as you can see here quickly, these are the products. So this is the link to the socioeconomic statistic for rural Ontario page, which contains the Excel files, the Excel tables and graph, and some maps that include demographic information, economic indicators, labor force characteristics, number of business by industry, rural and census profiles. And this is all, as John mentioned before, for rural and urban Ontario. So this is the data set. I am going to go a little bit deeper to demonstrate how to use it. And then the other one is the Rural Ontario dashboard that, as John already mentioned, is interactive and also contains same topics, but in a more interactive way, so the user can play around as you saw the demonstration before. So these are interactive dashboard. And the last product is the socioeconomic facts and data analysis about rural Ontario. This is, we call it the rural facts. By the way, all these names that you see here are the convention that the Cabinet Office used for this product to differentiate them. So that's why we just can't mention the nickname, because it's easier to catch. So this will be the site for the rural facts document. So let's go a little bit to a demonstration here about the socioeconomic statistic for rural Ontario page. This includes demographic information for rural and urban Ontario, and including immigrant, visible minorities, or racialized population, as Stat Canada call it now, educational attainment, household income, some key economic indicator for rural and urban as well, employment data, labor data, number of business by industry, and employee numbers, and also a rural and urban census profile for all census of population variables divided by rural and urban. So that's the key issue since 2001. That's the how far we went with this. And we provide the link here to go back to the main landing page. As you can see here, all these are listed, all the different sources of information that we use, mostly from Stat Canada for population and all the other economic variables, and labor as well. And these are the list of the different files that are. So here you have the rural and urban Ontario business counts, about the full set of variables for the rural Ontario 2016 census of population, the 2011, et cetera. Then for employment by industry, for labor force characteristics, for more from the census, and we also do our own calculation of rural Ontario GDP based on Stat Canada information as well. And we also have table for racialized group in rural urban Ontario, for Indigenous population as well, for educational attainment, and immigrants, household income, and other variables. So let me go here to the educational attainment one to demonstrate how this database are set. This is, so all this information is in the data catalog.
Yes, you can share.
Yes. So let's see, it takes some time to upload, so I have to be patient.
Let me go back here.
Yeah, I'm going to hit it again just in case didn't get it. Sure. Oh, coming now, coming twice. You can't go back here. Can't go. No. Okay, let's do it again.
Go to your downloads folder.
It's coming. Are you seeing the table?
You mean? Can everybody see the Excel spreadsheet?
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead. William.
So just for demonstration purpose, here we have the level of educational attainment in rural and urban Ontario table. As you can see here, we have all the different educational categories across time since '76. And there was a little bit of a challenge for this particular file because these categories are not exactly the same, especially in early years, so that they are ninth grade or something. The different categories focusing more on the before high school. So we have to kind of try to match them with the most recent census. And as you can see here, just in '76, we have for the numbers by educational category for rural, the percentage that from the total population that are not, for example, no certificates, 64%, and the comparison with urban as well. And this go across time, and you can easily appreciate if you have this table, how educational attainment has been evolving across time in rural and urban Ontario. So, and all this information are from the different census of population. And here we create this new set of categories just to comprise the information in the most common categories that are common to all years. Basically, before high school, then the trades, and then university for easier comparison and to see. So that this is what we got. And then we have the every detail for each year. So here is the kind of the raw data. As you can see, for example, in '71, there were so many categories up to grade 13. And then the categories after that change. And if we compare this with, for example, a most recent year, the situation is totally different. We have just one for 9th to 13th grade, and we go back to, let's say, after 2011. So the categories totally change and stay constant after that. So this is just one example of dealing with historical data, that we have to go and check every definition for each census year to see how we can accommodate this to make a table that can go and see trends across time. It's not just putting the data, you have to process it significantly. Okay, so this is for demonstration purpose about the data set. And now going back to the presentation. Let's see if I can get back to where I was before. Yes, I got it. So now I am going to go quickly to give some room for Siva, and I'm going to show you the rural dashboard. So this is in Power BI, John already mentioned it, and it's interactive as well. And the key thing is that the user is able to visualize changes over time in Ontario, rural, and urban geographies, and some characteristics about the rural population, labor force, economic indicators, and at the end, we do a rural and urban comparison for key variables, again, things by census year. So, and each page contains additional information and data sources. So just for demonstration purpose, I am going to check this one. This page contains a glossary of the key terms, the most important terms in the different products. If you click on any of these tabs, you get official definition from Stat Canada about the particular issue. For example, here we have about immigrant, what is the definition? And if you want to go deeper into what Stat Canada have about immigrant, you click on this gray bar on top, and you go to the Canada website for immigrant for this particular topic. The same for education, the fair for industry, for GDP, etc., etc. And please notice also that on the right-hand side, we have a section called Quick Rural Facts. And these Quick Rural Facts are basically a summary of this particular topic. For example, here, for immigrants, what are the key statistics across time for immigrants in rural Ontario? And this is a kind of an extract taken from the Rural Facts document. And also, if you scroll down, this blue bar connects you directly to the web page containing the analytical document where this information was taken from. And the green bar takes you to the page that Danielle already presented, to the Rural Ontario Institute dashboard and fact sheets. And on the left at the bottom, we see that this green link or this green box provides you a link to go back to the Excel files that I just showed those on this page. So this is connected, and if you see here on top, this menu that's just for navigating the different pages, I just quickly are going to show you the section that we have here. This is a section that shows you maps across time, how the geography, the changing boundaries in Ontario have been shaping the maps, and from 2001 up to 2021. Below there is an analytical interesting table about something that John mentioned, is about how the growth in rural cities had been over time, and how this is an indication that rural areas are vibrant. So, and there is a more in-depth analysis and another table in the Rural Facts document that talks about this particular issue. Here is a summary of the population characteristics, and this is just for rural Ontario. As you can see here, we have total population, population change, indigenous, statistic for indigenous, for racialized group, for immigrants. This bar can allow you to shrink the periods. So you can focus on just few periods, or you can see them all. So this is a feature, and if you click inside, you can isolate as well. Like if you want a particular, a particular year, all the different graphs are highlighted for that particular year. So, of course, there are some years like population, the most complete one, and let's say for indigenous in 2011 there was no data, so it won't show that. Here, this shows just some highlight for 2021. Yeah, so yeah, this is about some key socioeconomic indicators, labor for characteristics, and all these are interactive, as you can see, and by industry they change. If you click here, you can change to see employment by industry. And they say down here there is another type of interactions that for the given the time, and I won't show, but go to the website and you can play around with it. So this is this one is for the comparison of the key variables for rural and urban. So you see that. And with this, I will pass it to Siva, who will show us the website for agri-food statistics from OMAFRA.
Thank you, Julio. Can stop sharing.
Stop sharing now.
Yep, that's it.
What is this thing?
Hope you can see my screen. Is it good?
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Siva Mailvaganam. I'm a horticulture statistician with the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs in the Economic Analysis Unit Policy Division. So I'm going to walk through you all to our Ontario Agriculture and Food Statistics in the Open Data Catalog, where we update the data regularly. So as you see, like, I will scroll it down, but this landing page has 10 major categories. And also all the tables are in Excel format and easy to download. So some of them are like the 10 ones are major ones are the horticultural crops, field crops, livestock, dairy statistics, farm finance, food and beverage, agriculture and food economic indicators, trade statistics, and census and county profiles. So each one, as you see, you can see a small description, what kind of data is included in each of these. So what I'm going to do is, because we don't have that much time, I'll go through some of the agriculture and food economic indicators first, and then some of the county profiles. Then finally, I will go to horticultural crop, which I mostly update the numbers. So if you look at the economic indicators, so this one has the GDP numbers, gross domestic product, and for the Ontario economy, and the employment numbers, and key statistical indicators, labor productivity, and CPI, Consumer Price Index, and economic impact analysis. So one of the file I can open is the GDP and show you what is included there in the Excel format. And so this one has the overall GDP numbers for the industry. So yeah, as you see on the screen, like it does have the primary agriculture for years from 2007 to 2022, and also the manufacturing, mainly the service industries and good producing industries. So so it is updated annually. And the other one is, I can show, is one of the employment numbers. So the labor force numbers. Yes, one also have the food and crop and animal production, and all the details for the food and beverage tobacco industry, then manufacturing, and at the end, actually, you have the total employed labor force in Ontario at 7.7 million, because also it gives you the percentage of, as an Ontario labor force survey, how many employed in the agri-food industry. So that is about close to 11%. So the next one I'll show you is we do an attribution model to get the employment economic impact analysis. So I'll show you the attribution model, which is used for most of our fact sheets and for the communication purpose and to update those facts or statements. So this is actually the first set of data is give you GDP numbers, and the second set of data gives you employment numbers by industry, which is very useful. And so if someone asks, yeah, what is the greenhouse vegetable, the GDP is overall from food to processing, everything included, it's about 2 billion. It's in $1 million. Just check on the top. It's changed to 2012 numbers. And employment also, if someone asks like greenhouse vegetables, how many employees are there? It's 44,000 for close to 44,500 for 2022. So these are like we estimate, these are estimates, not actual numbers, using the census data and all the census distribution and all the farm cash receipts numbers to get the gross domestic product. So these ones are estimated numbers. So I'll go to the next one now, the county profiles. Which one is very useful. As you know, the agriculture census is done every 5 years. The last one was did in 2021, and the data was available in May 2022. The next one is going to be 2026, and the data will be available in 2027. The Census of Agriculture is the one only survey. It does give you numbers at regional, county, and township levels. And also it is the number of farms and acreage numbers. And it has so many variables in there included in the Census of Agriculture. And you can compare those numbers every 5 years. And also one other thing I want to mention is Census of Agriculture is the benchmark for all other surveys, annual surveys, which Statistics Canada does. So most of the data we grab from CanSIM tables from Statistics Canada's annual surveys, like field crop reporting surveys, farm cash receipts numbers, and fruit and vegetable survey, greenhouse soil and nursery industry survey, everything is benchmarked from the Census of Agriculture. So that is the reason Census of Agriculture is very important. So I'll just show you the Southern Ontario. So as you see, you can, when I scroll it, you can see all the Eastern, Southern Ontario, and at the level is county level, regional level first, and the county level. And then when you click on those ones, you can see the townships also. So I'll first show you one example, the Southern Ontario. So it is just taking some time. Yeah, anyway, I have some issues downloading it in yesterday. I had the same issues, but I'll try again. Otherwise, I'll go through the other ones quickly. Yeah, okay. Anyway, finally, it's downloading it. So after the county profiles, I'll give you some examples from the horticultural stats. So after this is done, I'll go to horticultural stats. So when I click on the ag profile, this has 4 tabs. And when I go to it, it does give you the business counts and the agriculture, the ag profile, and the business profile. So I'm going to go to ag profile and show you the comparison and how it gives you a summary table. Because it is a large file, it takes a while to download. And also the last step, it does give you the X census over time, which it is a comparison of like the census over years. So as you see the Southern Ontario county profile, it does compare 2021 and 2016. And also in the from starting column H, you can see the major field crops in Southern Ontario and major fruit crops, major vegetables, livestock, and also the bar chart. It does tell you the farm cash receipts, the ranking, which commodity group is grown mostly in Southern Ontario. So as you see the fruit and vegetables, and on the left side, you see the pie chart at the bottom. It does give you at the total number as the Ontario farm cash receipts number as 18.5 billion, and also the percentage of all the commodities. So so this one, it has for Southern Ontario, and we do have, I will show you the one map for the Niagara region. But the last step is the ag census over time. As you can see, it does have all the census variables on the left side, left corner, and then it compares the census years, and also tells you what is the percentage change over the years. And also when I drag it down, the left, right down, then you can see the division and Niagara municipality, and all the information is there. So all these are updated every 5 years, and it takes, as you see, it takes a while for us to, because the data is released after almost 1 year, but then it takes almost for us to update almost 6-7 months to update these things. So I'll show you the other, the Niagara regional one, if I could download that. So the same format, it does have 2 census, because we can have more data in there. So that is the reason we only have 2 census data, census years. So and also it does have 4 tabs. The first one is community profile, agri-food business profile, which has business counts, and ag profile for Southern Ontario, and ag census over time. So when I click on the ag profile Niagara regional municipalities, so first one, it does give you the Niagara regional as in the Southern Ontario, the major field crops grown and all the bar chart and chart. Then when I scroll it down, then you see all the town of Fort Erie and what are the townships included there. And as you see, sometimes when it goes to a township level, you have suppressed data. So it is that regional and county level. Sorry, most of the data is available, but at township level, there is yeah, suppressed data. So that's the reason you might see some of the blanks there. So with that, actually, I'll go to the horticultural crop stats, so quickly, that is the one I usually update. So when I click on that, you see the horticultural crops include the fruits, vegetables, greenhouse vegetables, potato, mushroom, honey and maple, and soda nursery. So as you see, the first one is the fruits. So it does have a area production and value and sales. So the first link has the 20, actually it does have 2021 and 2022 numbers for fruits. So major fruit crops grown in Ontario are apple, peach, strawberry, and grapes. So most of the grapes are for wine grapes. So then under that, actually, you can see the apple, for an example. So these are the commercially grown crops in Ontario. So if I go to Apple and click on it, then you can see all the historical numbers or trend, the area, production, and price and yield, so that you can easily. The good thing with our landing page is all the numbers are from Ontario. So if you go to StatScan page, you have to select the variables and you have to select the province, and in here you just see Ontario numbers on our landing page. So as you see, you can from 1979 to 2022, the area harvested, it's in both unit, imperial and metric. So, and you have the price and the yield. So these are all from fruit and vegetable annual survey from Statistics Canada, and also the marketing boards, Ontario Apple Growers, Ontario Grape Growers of Ontario, and tender fruit growers of Ontario for processing numbers. So these all summarized using those survey data. So the same format, we have it for vegetable also. So as you know, in Ontario, there are so many different varieties of vegetables grown. And one thing I forgot to tell is the fruit one. Most of the fruits are grown in Niagara region, in southern Ontario, in Niagara region. And some of the counties, the fruits are grown is Niagara, Norfolk, Grey, and Elgin, and some other counties. So the vegetables also, most of them are grown in southern Ontario, but most of the counties, the vegetable grown are Chatham, Kent, and Norfolk, Elgin, and Simcoe counties. So as you see, there are so many different varieties. Vegetable crops are grown in Ontario. And some of them are the emerging vegetables, like ethnic vegetables, an eggplant and sweet potatoes. Those ones only Statistics Canada started to collect only 3-4 years back. So, but the rest of the data we have from 1979 to 2021. So I'm not going to open these files, because it's the same format as the fruit. You have area, production, value, price, and yield. And the next one is Ontario Processing Vegetable Growers Crop Stats. This is from the Ontario Processing Vegetable Growers website. So these numbers are from 1992 to 2021. We have to update this one with 2022. And the other one is the organic vegetable crop stats. So for fruit and veg. But as you see, this one has only 3-year data, 2019 to 2021, because as you know, the organic crop stats is not readily available everywhere. So Statistics Canada are now starting to collect that data. And so that's the reason we have 3-year data. So the other one is the greenhouse vegetables. The mostly grown greenhouse vegetables in Ontario are greenhouse tomato, greenhouse cucumbers, and greenhouse peppers. So, and lettuce too, but some of the data are confidential for lettuce. So that's the reason it is not listed in the landing page. So, and most of the greenhouse vegetables are fresh for fresh market, not for processing. And it is exported to US, most of them are. And the next one is the mushroom, and that one also has the historical numbers. And this is from the Statistics Canada's Mushroom Growers Survey. which also has all the, because as you know, mushrooms are grown on beds and it harvested many times a year. Next one is potatoes. This one, actually, we do our survey in Ontario and give the numbers to Statistics Canada. So, we estimate the planted area and harvested area, actually through survey, not estimate actual numbers. Then we estimate the production and farm value. And it is the collaboration with the Ontario Potato Board to do the survey. They help us to get the numbers. And the next one, I'll just show you one example. This is the area production and farm value for major commercially grown fruit and vegetable crops at county level, because this is a very useful one because as you know, the numbers published by Statistics Canada in their annual surveys are at provincial level. Only the census data has county and township level, and it is for 5 years, and it is also for number of farms and acres, not for production or value. So that is one reason we estimate using, I think we are the only doing this. We estimate numbers using the provincial numbers and also census distribution, and also using the yield. And we get under the data sharing agreement, we get fruit and vegetable survey micro data and greenhouse soil and nursery micro data for our province. And we calculate the provincial and regional and county level yield and price numbers and estimate these numbers. For example, like you can see easily like which counties are more grow apple more. Like for this one, you will see it's a little bit spread out for other districts. But if you look at the grapes, you will definitely see Niagara is the one grown mostly. So I'll show you just quickly only that one and the grapes, so that you can see the difference in there.
Eva,
Yeah.
may I ask you a quick question while you have your screen the way it looks? I just want to clarify. So if I go on OMAFRA's Census of Agriculture this website, will I see that column along the right where I can open up the Excel spreadsheets, or is that only your view?
No, if you go into OMAFRA, like Open Data Catalog, you should be able to open any Excel files there for the census.
Thank you.
But if you have any issues, just email me and I can follow up with that, because it's all open data in the open data. So you should be able to, and it's in Excel format. So you should be able to open those ones without any issues.
Thank you.
So I'll just open one because the time is running out, and just this one, and quickly go over other ones. And so this is for grapes. So you can see the at county level estimates, and the Niagara, as you can see, the most of the grapes are grown in Niagara and in southern Ontario. So and also you can, as you see at the bottom, you have different tabs for each year, so you can change it and compare the acreage or county estimates, which county is in about 10 years back, which county grown more grapes, kind of things. You can compare or have a trend at county level. You can see the county level trend. So and then the next one is the area and number of farms by size of crop. It is a comparison of 4-year census data, because we get some custom tables from Statistics Canada for fruit and vegetables and field crops by farm size. Say under 10 acres, how many farms or acreage for apples? So over 100 acres, how many farms or acreage in Ontario, 100 acres and over. So I'm not going to open those files because of the time. And so that is a comparison you can see between census, how the farms decreased or increased by commodity and by acreage. And the next one is the greenhouse soda nursery. This is from the, again, Statistics Canada's fruit and vegetable, greenhouse soda nursery industry survey. So this has all the greenhouse industry statistics and the summary. So there is, I'll just show you one summary table and then just go into honey and just finish my presentation. So this one also you can see how many greenhouses in Ontario and how much the value of floriculture in Ontario and what is the greenhouse vegetable number. It's a comparison of Ontario and Canada. And also at the top you can see glass and plastic, how many square foot grown in under glass and under plastic, and also at the bottom you can see the number of employees and total payroll and how much is the energy cost. So finally, I have one more thing. This is the honey and maple shrub. So we do a honey survey in Ontario and give the numbers again to Statistics Canada. So now I am in the process of doing it because it is done in October and November, and give the numbers. And Statistics Canada publish in their daily with other provinces, and in the numbers are published in CanSIM. Along with the other provinces. So this one gives you a number of beekeepers. These are for only commercially grown beekeepers. So these are 50 colonies and over. So, and the number of beekeepers, number of colonies, yield, production, and farm value. So the potato and honey survey, we do it here, and this one is collaborated with our provincial affiliates to get the mailing list, and we put this one in the Survey Monkey and do the survey. So I think with that, I'll conclude my presentation and pass it to Ellen for any questions. So thank you. I'll stop sharing mine.
Thank you very much, Shiva. And thank you, Julio, for your presentation as well, and to Danielle from the Rural Ontario Institute. I think folks can see just what an incredible amount of data is available to our rural communities, to our planners, our municipalities, organizations, and in these variety of formats. We do have a few moments for questions. If folks have questions they'd like to ask of any of the presenters, I would like to ask Julio a question, just sort of start off the Q&A. Julio, you talked about how the Statistics Canada definitions change over time. And I wonder if you could comment about how easy it is to sort of follow those changes, what kind of impact it has on folks when they're trying to compare year over year, how sort of, I guess, really tricky it is to sort of make sure that you've got the right, or you're comparing apples to apples when you're doing a kind of a statistical kind of, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there are two things. One is the geography, and the other part are the definitions of the variables. So the geography part, Statistics Canada, after each census year, they readjust the boundaries of the census metropolitan area. So rural municipalities who reach a threshold, let's say 50,000 or more, and meet other characteristics of commuting and other parameters that they have, these municipalities that in previous census were rural, they become urban in the next census. So that's why when we see, and we have it in the Rural Facts document, a trending line that rural Ontario across time is getting smaller and smaller, it's not necessarily because people are leaving rural Ontario. It's because these communities who become so successful become urban, and then are taken from the rural and put it into the CMA. So then in the next census, this population will become urban and will be taken, and we subtract it from the rural part. So that is one reason. There are some other data that Stat Canada, like labor and other, that they fixed a boundary, let's say, to 2016, and so you can see the trend, and it's a little bit complicated sometimes. So when we adjust boundaries, we can get different results, especially for population, that when we live, without adjusting boundaries, like a fix in one, like 2016 boundary, and all the comparison is maintaining fixed that geography, so that will you different results. The other part is that I put the educational attainment as an example, but it's the same with the age categories and things like that. Sometimes every 5 years, sometimes, but especially for education, as I show, and they at the beginning they have different categories, and that's so you try to match it the best you can. And so you have to go deeper into the definitions that for each census year, what did it mean, what are the boundaries for this, and then try to group it to make it comparable across time. And so this is basically the key issue with this apparent contradiction sometimes, that or the perception that is created that rural Ontario population is diminishing over time. And on the other hand, we see, for example, and when we see projections to the future, we see that many the growth in rural communities continue, that people are moving from the GTA to rural areas. But because of this convention that Stat Canada has for counting or for including this growing municipalities into CMAs, that is a tricky statistic that make a look at rural Ontario smaller over time. Do you have something to add, John?
No, I think that was really good, Leo. And but to answer your question a little bit more directly there, Helen, for some indicators, the work that we've done is behind the scenes in terms of making it consistent over time. So we've done a lot of the work, and the indicators presented there, but we don't detail everything that we've done to get to that point. In some other indicators, like for instance, educational attainment, there in the spreadsheet, it'll be very evident how the categories have changed from census to census to census. So it depends on the indicator that you'll be looking at on the data set.
Yeah. So in the data set, one interesting thing is that we have the summaries on top to do the graphs, but as you saw below, there is a detail the way it was presented in the census. Like if it's every 5 years for population and finishing 85 and over, so we put it for that particular year. Like for example, for 2021 is 100 year plus, so we put it there. But when we comprise things, we may have ending saying 65 and over, because it's this one of the census year just shows that. So we have to make this match, and the same for other variables. But you can see, you can appreciate for immigration from other variables, what is the raw data for each of the tables for census year. So we have it there below the graphs and the summary tables. So I think for a curious researcher, they can play around with this information. And we have all the sources there if you want to go to the raw data as well. We have the links and yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. I was actually particularly interested in the decrease in immigration to rural Ontario when you mentioned that. So that was something that sort of highlighted for me, and how much does the definition and the changing boundaries impact that statistic?
Yes, I think that in immigration in particular, there is there is a trend that rural areas definitely it is impacted by the definition, because people, immigrants, recent immigrants tend to move where the action is, where they can find easy jobs, and there is a social network. And if a rural community become successful and become urban, then this immigrant will be counted as going to a rural, urban area for that particular, when the conversion was made to urban. So that will be something that even it's difficult to measure how much is the effect, but yeah, definitely will affect, because the municipalities that remain rural across time will look like they are attracting less immigrants until they reach that threshold and become urban, and maybe, but it will be difficult to kind of measure that part. But I think that to some extent that may affect this this trend.
Thanks, Julio. I don't see any questions in the chat at this time, but I would like to leave it for another minute for folks to, if you want to unmute and ask a question, please feel welcome. And I also want to just assure you that all our presenters are available and accessible to you for, further questions. And if you want to tackle some of these data analysis issues, certainly Danielle is available. I know Julio is also available, and Siva as well.
To let you know, there's a few folks in the chat who have asked whether or not the recording will be available after the session, and yes, it will.
Thanks, Mel. We do have a quick request of everyone on the line. We'd love you to respond to a survey. It's a brief survey. Would you please take a few minutes to just fill it out as you're leaving? I think Mel has put it in the chat, and we would really appreciate your feedback so that we can continue to offer webinars of value and of interest to rural Ontarians. I also want to let you know that the Rural Ontario Institute will be hosting a webinar on housing on November the 22nd, which is National Housing Day. So watch for information about that upcoming event. And at this time, I want to thank all our presenters. Thanks especially to OMAFRA for partnering with us on this information session. To Julio, to Siva, thank you for your detailed presentations. And to Danielle, thank you again for showcasing what ROI has to offer in terms of accessing rural data. With that, I think we can wish everybody a great day. Thank you for answering the survey, and thank you for being with us this morning.